Hey everyone, I'm Robbie Cornthwaite.
I'm Daniel Mullen.
I'm Angelo Costanzo.
I'm Marco Flores.
I'm Marcelo Garuska.
I'm Ian Fife.
This is Casio, and you're watching.
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 And you are watching
Pure Bred Reds, Adelaide United Fan TV.
G'day guys, welcome to the Pure Bred Reds Adelaide United Fan TV. I'm your host Ellis Gelios. I'm in the studio with Chris Adams from the Red Army. How are we doing, Chrissy?
Yeah, good mate. Cheers for having me back for another episode.
No worries. Now this is a special topical one-off episode where we're in the studio to have a bit of fun. We're going to count down the greatest ever foreign flops to sign with Adelaide United. 10 to 1, just like we did with our Craziest Moments video a few weeks ago. Now, the rule is that they're foreign because when a foreign player comes into the A-League, we immediately expect so much more. They're taking up the spot of an Australian, so they really have to offer a whole lot more to justify why they're here. We can only have 5 of them as well, so it's really important that you get your recruitment right all the time. And it's fair to say, over our existence as a club, we haven't always gotten it right. And we're going to illustrate just where it's gone so banterously wrong over the last 15 or so years. 10 of our biggest banter players, if you like, from as foreigners. So we're going to get straight into it, mate. Number 10. Now this one is a controversial one. I understand people will disagree with it, but we're going to go with Daario because even though we knew he could play, the guy just stole a living here. He was rumoured to be on upwards of $500,000 a year, and he spent 2 seasons pretty well on his backside. But anyway, Bubba, he arrived in 2017 from the Portuguese League, played 23 games in 2.5 seasons. Like I said, was rumoured to be on $500,000 a year. He's now without a club. Your take on Bubba?
I think he's hard done by to be put on this list, but I can see both reasons. I can see reasons why as well. Yeah. In Bubba's first season when he came, we were quite taken by his immediate success.
His first 6 months.
His first 6 months, first half season. He came in to fill the hole that was left by Sergi Guardiola's departure.
So this is still Amore days.
Back in 2016-17, post-championship, Amore days yet. And we were quite taken with his goal scoring exploits in the Asian Champions League.
Totally, and in the A-League as well.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to bring up on Bubba, Marco Kurz may be to blame for Bubba's downfall, because if you look at how he was playing under Amore, staying injury free, apparently, don't quote me, but from the whispers that I've heard, Amore wasn't big on players doing a whole lot of running, particularly after sessions, whereas Kurz would make them run laps after sessions. And obviously Bubba's body may well not have been cut out to to take on all this extra fitness work. And statistically, the proof's there that under Kurz he was just never fit, whereas under Amore, different story.
If I even before hearing what you just said, I think it was quite evident that Marco Kurz had a very well sort of publicised fitness program that he would, and training program that he would get all the boys through, and it just so happens that when Marco starts implementing this in the squad, Bubba is all of a sudden missing games, and I think it's that Bubba Diawara is a great case on player management, and Amore managed him extremely well to the point where he was likened to be the next Bruce Jute back in 2016-17.
Hopefully, Bruce Jute has scored a few more. And then all of a sudden in 2017-18, he's missing half the season from soft tissue problems, just continuous soft tissue problems, not one. It was the quads, then it was the hip, and it was just a range of things where he only came back into the team in like the last few games, and then we saw a complete repeat of that on an even worse scale. Moving into number 9.
Expect a very direct player.
was always looking to create opportunities and then always try to go for the goal.
Foul to Jared Gillett, floated in by Goodwin, off the frame, and the goal by Ilso.
Rather laboriously trying to turn onto his right foot, has fouled Matt Mackay, and there's a bit of acrimony afterwards.
Oh, he set him off.
It is a red card. And Alex King points to his stats. Ken Ilso's match ends after 8.5 minutes.
Yeah, she'll be right.
Adelaide United forward Ken Ilso has been suspended for doping.
The 32-year-old's A sample came back positive to a metabolite of the illicit drug cocaine.
Another perhaps slightly controversial one, I don't think so, but a few people might beg to differ. It's the Dane Ken Ilso, the attacker from Denmark who came in 2018, having most recently played in the Malaysian League prior to his move to Adelaide. His brother was the famous Danish actor on the set of the Netflix series Vikings. Anyhow, Ken Ilso played 19 games and scored 3 goals and was eventually given a ban by FIFA for cocaine use before being released after just 1 season at Cooper Stadium. He then retired immediately after the fact. A little bit sort of sad to see him come out and say what he said post his departure and the ban going ahead, where he stated that he got lonely and lost his way a little bit, perhaps in terms of being professional and staying on top of things. Anyhow, you have a bit more of a softer spot for Ken Ilso than I do. What do you reckon?
I don't think it's. I think he probably deserved to be on this list. Looking at the bigger picture here, I personally liked him. I perhaps thought that he wasn't given as good an opportunity as maybe he
was entitled to. Yeah.
He was used quite sparingly by Marco Kurtz, and I know that he definitely came to last season, unfit, and it took him a long time compared to some of the other foreigners and local players to get his fitness up and sort of get up to pace with the rest of the squad. And a start like that has the potential to affect your season long term, and it did. He was coming off the bench in the FA Cup, and I just remember his first FA Cup appearance. he looked so out of place.
Yeah, totally.
And he gave us a couple of really great memories. For me, my favourite memory of his is scoring against Melbourne Victory.
Obviously, yeah. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that.
And look, you don't like to see players get banned.
And
especially
alienated,
especially for drug abuse.
Totally.
It came as a real shock for me, to be honest with you, and it upset me a bit. But I don't think it affected the squad going into that finals run. I just felt as though he perhaps could have had more of an opportunity to prove himself. But then again, I maybe couldn't see him starting ahead of a couple of other boys. So it's a tough one.
We never really knew what his best position was. I feel like that was an issue. Anyhow, we move into number 8, and it's a bit of a mysterious one. Daario Bodrusic, Croatian centre-back. He arrived in 2011 from NK Rudis in Croatia and made just 4 appearances, with most of those being off the bench. He was then released after our finals campaign in that season. He then disappeared back to the Croatian second division, and we never heard from him since. What was the point of signing this guy? Rini Coolin's first season in charge brought him in that January window that he had in that 2010-11 season. And I just remember thinking, what are we doing here? We've got like an abundance of centre-backs already. Why have we wasted a foreign spot on this unknown guy who's got no illustrious sort of history? He had actually played a few games for the under-21, Croatia's national under-21 team, but aside from that, you looked at the clubs he'd been at and you didn't even know what those clubs were or anything about the Croatian leagues. Yeah, it didn't work out.
Yeah. To quote you, he was a real Bambi on ice type defender.
Correct.
He did play his part in a couple of wins against Victory, regardless of the fact he looked quite horrendous. Again, I think he only lost like one game. I might be wrong, but
Yeah, well, it was a good season.
It was against Gold Coast United,
Yeah.
but I think he was brought in to replace Fifey, who left.
I'm not 100% sure about that.
Might be wrong, but
Don't use this.
so yeah, don't quote me on that. But yeah, Bodrusic was a typical Coolin signing.
Yeah, and we're gonna very much find out how bad of a record Coolin had with transfers, because he's got a fair few in this list. But anyhow, we move forward. Shin Inciob comes in at number 7, the young South Korean midfielder who we brought in 2009 from Konkuk University in the South Korean youth system. He played 21 games across 2 seasons and was then released prior to the commencement of the 2011-12 season. All we know about him since his departure is that he signed for Pocheon Citizen in the 3rd tier of the South Korean football system in 2015. According to the internet, he is still playing football somewhere. We don't know where. But anyway, Shin, he was quite young when he came, to be fair, and it's a physical league. We know players that have come from the Asian continent have struggled to acclimatise to the physicality that the A-League has, which does not resonate with a lot of the Asian leagues. But nevertheless, there was a big deal made about him, about being a possible sort of Shanking Chu type, and that sounds familiar right now, Chris. But anyway, so Shin came in and just did not cut the mustard at all, and was on his way after 2 seasons.
To be quite honest with you, I literally have no recollection of him. So
there wasn't much to remember, mate.
I know there was definitely not much to remember based on all the accounts that I've read, but I do know, as you mentioned, he came with the possibility of becoming our next sort of Shinkin Q type character, but never achieved.
No.
And it's probably in part why I literally don't. I remember the name. I remember the reputation, I suppose, or the lack of reputation that he gained at United. There's nothing, I can't remember anything relevant that he did.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether the club had the idea that he should try and capitalise on links within Asia, because of the fact that it was the very season after we got on our massive run in the Asian Champions League, and if this had paid off, we might have been able to secure some kind of Asian investment within the ownership model of the club, or a sponsorship coming out of Asia. But it just didn't come off the ground for Shin Inciob, unfortunately, and he was on his way after 2 seasons. And I remember, I think it was the North Queensland Fury 8-1 win. He didn't play, he wasn't in the squad, but he got a nice little sort of ceremonial interview at full time, and he left on pretty good terms. Everyone clapped him off, and I can't forget how much I laughed when I interviewed Robbie Cornthwaite a few months back, and he told me that when he went to play in Korea, he somehow stumbled across Shin, and Shin was his translator at his club in the K-League. So that whole thing just went full circle somehow. But there you go. Shin Inciob comes in at number 7. Coming in at number 6, mate. One that hurts quite a bit, Miguel Pablo. Josip Gombau didn't make many poor signings during his time as the Adelaide United manager, but this was definitely one of those, and most definitely I would suggest his worst signing whilst being the manager at Adelaide. Spanish winger who came in 2015 and undoubtedly went on to become Josip Gombau's worst ever piece of transfer business of the club. Played 14 games, scored 1 goal in that time before departing after just 6 months. He's now running around in Spain's 3rd tier. What do you reckon? He
came with the reputation of having played for Real Madrid,
yes,
in an El Clasico,
that definitely
and nearly scoring a goal, being denied by I think a miraculous save or the post.
Mm-hmm.
You look at somebody like Sergio Thirio, who is up there as like a number 1 Gombau signing alongside Isaias, and you think this guy's got such pedigree compared to someone like Daario SAS, who had been floating around in that second division. I think SAS had played for Espanyol against Barca, but that's a conversation for another day. You'd think that had all the makings of being a really good signing, and it just never happened. I remember he really struggled with the physicality of the league, and that's something that we see so regularly with especially players coming from Asia, like Shin. He really couldn't get up to speed. I think his fitness was good. He was definitely a technical player. He ended up scoring. I'm not going to say he came good, but he did something in the last couple of games. He scored against Melbourne City in a 4-1 grubbing of them in round 27 that season, and then he got the assist for Mabil's winner against Brisbane in the elimination final at the Oval.
Yes,
but for a player of
not
his
much of a legacy.
That's definitely not much of a legacy, and I think he was rightfully out the door at the end of the season.
Yeah, 100%, mate. It was a real disappointing one. Unfortunately, Miguel Pablo flopped big time. He comes in at number 6.
And here he is at the back post. Thomason gave it away to Blackwood. Now Thomason and Delbridge.
Number 5, Jordy Thomason, who signed in the January transfer window of 2019, played 9 games and never got on the score sheet before departing at the seasons. The reason why I really have to go in hard on Thomason is not only because he was an absolute eyesore to watch on the pitch, but because we were, in this period of time, crying out for a striker that would just not even score 10 goals or anything like that, but just assist in some way. Just help us out a little bit. Get on the end of something and set a few people up, or just contribute in some way. Like, we were so bare thin. And in comes Jordy Thomason from the second tier of the Dutch football system, and he was just awful. Like, he was so bad. I remember watching his first game. I think it was Craig Goodwin who put him through on goal. And his first touch was just like appallingly bad. And like, I had to really open my eyes and like hone in on the fact that this actually just happened. And I just remember thinking from that point, geez, it's not a good start. Like, I hope he comes good. He did not come good. To the point where I have it on good authority that Kurz was using him at right back in scratch matches when he was playing the starting 11 in a trial game against reserve players, and he was literally just, Jordy, you play right back, because there was just no need for him at the club whatsoever, and we'll never know why he came in and why anyone thought this would work, Chris.
Look, this is going to sound really nasty, but in my time as an Adelaide United fan, I've never seen a worse striker.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Honestly, I agree 100%.
This is not me having a go at the club for signing him, because they had to do something.
Yeah.
Because we had no striker. We literally did not have a striker at the time, and we needed somebody to come in. So that is not. It's just one of those things where the club will. Okay, he actually had a decent highlights reel, and from memory,
when he came in.
When he came in, and we looked at his stats and we thought
he's playing second division in Holland, but
he's not. We've seen second division players who've done better than that, who've done good things in the A-League. So I can't attack the club because we needed a striker and they went and signed a striker. It was just one of those times where the gamble didn't pay off. And Thomason's like a 6'2" or 3 bloke.
Yeah, he had a good footballer build.
He had that brilliant build, but I was just looking at him thinking, what strengths is he actually playing to? What strength does he actually have? What does he have that defines him compared to other strikers in the league? You look at his height, you think, okay, he should be good at winning headers, he should be good at bodying defenders and bullying centre backs.
Number 4, mate. Coming in number 4 is another Dutchman, and slory, but a very different set of events. Andrew Slory's story takes us all the way back to the January transfer window in 2011, where he was brought in to play on the wing. He was signed on to play the 2011-12 season, but exited in November of that season after making just 11 appearances for the club. He's been retired since 2015 now. The whole controversy with Andrew Slory. He comes in as a part of this really cool and supposed change of culture,
revolution,
new players that were going to change, you know, the playing style, which there was nothing wrong with at the time, but whatever. Really cool, and had it in his head that he was going to go on this mass, like, you know, rebuild. And Andrew Slory seemed like a key part of that. The problem was, after just 11 games, he decided that he'd lost the passion for football and was going to return to Holland to open up a sports shop. Now, did that ever happen or not? I don't know, but what I do know is that he started playing again in 2013. So thank you for that, Andrew Slory. One of the fattest waste of times I've ever experienced as a fan. We were told prior to him coming to Australia that he was going to be quicker than Matthew Leckie. And he was just a little bit of a Bambi on ice himself, really. No end product. He was quick, I'll give him that, but no end product whatsoever. And
my favourite memory of Slory was played Melbourne Victory 2011 at Adelaide Oval. He was put through for basically a tap-in.
Yeah.
And he ended up slipping over, missing the ball, and completely wiping out the goalkeeper.
Well, that sums that up, doesn't it?
And I'm lost for words.
Yeah, he was like really highly billed when he came in, so I assume he was on a decent wage. Really cool, and it was probably his mate put him on a nice wage, and just nothing to show for any of the hype at all.
Without naming names, he was obviously copying quite a bit of it on social media, and one of my friends contributed to that social media, whatever you want to call it, wrote a couple comments, and Slory literally messaged my friend privately via Facebook and just abused him.
So that's the story of Andrew Slory coming in at number 4.
It's like a pinball machine.
Great goalmouth action. Here's Jamison at the other end. Feeds it to Pantelis. Up goes Owusu. It's in. Lloyd Owusu's first goal for Adelaide United. And he runs straight over to the Reds fans and straight into the hearts of the Adelaide supporters. And here come the dance celebrations too.
Well, they've only scored 2 in the last 7 games, Adelaide United. They now have got 2 tonight, but this is a massive goalkeeping mistake from Paul Henderson.
Number 3, big Lloyd Owusu. Now, Lloyd Owusu came in with quite a decent pedigree. He scored a lot of goals in the UK in the lower leagues. He arrived in 2009 from Brighton in England to play up forward, played 16 games and scored just 1 goal before departing at the end of the season. He's now coaching at Cranbrook High School in New South Wales. Lloyd Owusu got swine for a few days after getting into Adelaide, and that pretty much gave us a hint as to the kind of legacy he was going to leave in Adelaide. Not particularly impressive in a very dour season, but I guess it's the fact that he came in as the key number 9 signing and just did not live up to it at all.
Well, once again, similar to Shin, I literally have no recollection of him playing for us.
Yeah.
The only memory I told you off camera was that he was a beast in FIFA 10.
I seem to remember him being quite decent, yeah.
That's literally all I can say about him.
Yeah, my only real memory of him is when he came on against North Queensland Fury in a 3-3 draw where Robbie Fowler was playing, and we were god awful this day. But he scored a goal that put us 2-1 ahead, I think it was, and he started doing this like robot dance to the crowd, and
my goodness.
And thinking he was going to really light this league up, and that was the only time he got on the end of being on the score sheet for Adelaide United in his 1 season at the club. So Lloyd Owusu comes in at number 3.
cut out by Carl Vitt. It's Adelaide going again. Neat footwork this time by Spaniolo. Brilliant work by Jason Spaniolo. Fumbled by Coventry, bundled over the line by who else but Romario. Finally, number 987 of his glittering career, and the Romario experiment finally ends in smiles.
Absolutely unbelievable. Look at the play from Spaniolo. Positive, goes around Eagleton. Awaits another challenge, comes inside Jade North. And there's Romario. It definitely comes off the bottom of his foot. I was just interested to see the replay, but that's definitely his goal. Goes around Kohler, drops his shoulder, comes inside North. Vukovic only gets a hand to it, and Romario finishes off.
Number 2, mate. It's a big number 2, and it was hard because a lot of people will say that he's the all-time flop, but because he's a legend, I just couldn't put him at number 1. So it's Romario, Brazilian World Cup winning striker with the Brazilian national team. He arrived in November of 2006 from Miami FC at the age of 40. Bit of a spring chicken. Yeah, he played 4 games and scored 1 highly dubious goal before then exiting in December of 2006 after his 4-game stint. He was paid quite handsomely to play those 4 games as well. He's now a member of the Brazilian Parliament and interestingly opposed the 2014 World Cup being hosted by Brazil and said the country shouldn't have it there because it's all about corruption and black money and things like that. Anyhow, on to his time at Adelaide. Not good at all. It probably never was going to be good. We played in the summer, he was 40, not an overly imposing figure, but nevertheless, it happened. From a marquee off-field crowds kind of perspective, maybe it worked. But yeah, we've got the likes of John Kosmina going on record saying it was just a waste of time, and it pretty much was, really.
Yeah, in his 4 games, as I was only 6 years old, so again, another one I just don't remember.
You've seen highlights, though.
I've seen highlights. I've seen the goal, which looked more like an own goal to me.
Didn't look very clear cut, did it?
Back in the day, not many camera angles and whatever.
Very grainy YouTube footage.
Very grainy YouTube footage. he really just failed to light up the league. It just seemed like he had all the makings of being a flop.
Yeah.
And it was a flop.
It was as clear cut as it should have seemed to have been.
And as you mentioned, John Kosmina, on record, didn't want it to happen, said he played like a busted ass, and in his final game, got subbed at half time, picked up his bag and just left the stadium. And that was the last we saw of him.
Yeah, I seem to remember him getting dragged in that game, and he did his little sort of applause run, and then as you say, the story goes that he got his bags and left, and sayonara Romario.
Yoo Jae-hoon, Korean keeper, it's towards the front post, lovely header, Malik! And a great finish as well from Evgeny Levchenko.
We're ready for number 1. Let's get into it, mate. Let's not keep the people waiting any longer. Number 1. It's a very well-earned number 1. And I used to have him as a Facebook friend, and I'm glad I don't now, so he doesn't see this. But it's Evgeny Levchenko, the Ukrainian midfielder who arrived in 2011 from the Dutch league. He played 10 games before departing at the end of the 2010-11 season and retired from football immediately after that season. He is now reportedly a football analyst in Holland and plays amateur football whilst being married to Dutch actress Victoria Kobalenko. He was also reportedly on the Dutch version of The Bachelor. So thank you, Evgeny. Now, he makes it as number 1 for one reason only, and it is absurd. We lost 4-0 to Central Coast Mariners. We were playing so badly at the time. We were on the end of some horrible results with Rennie Cullen. It was right towards his imminent sacking, and we lost 4-0 at home to Central Coast Mariners. Unforgivable circumstances at being a home game, obviously. And an hour or so after full time, he comes out on his Facebook account and implores Adelaide United fans to vote for him in his endeavour to become the sexiest Dutch vegetarian to win this competition, and he got absolutely lambasted, rightly so, by fans because he was an absolute clown. Basically that was the end of him from that point. Cozzy came in after Coolwood's sacking and tried playing him at centre back and gave the usual sort of protection of the player at full time, saying yeah, he's coming good, we might have found a suitable position for him, but no.
Yeah, he's the ultimate banter player for the ultimate banter era of our club. That's the best way I can put it. You hear it so much now in modern times. You know, you're too many Instagram model football players. Instagram wasn't a thing back in 2011, and this is something that just pisses me off so much when you lose a game and the fans are so livid at the team's performance, and you have this one player who'll go, "Hey guys, this is my model photo." It happens at every club. Well, not every club, but there's always clubs that have those players. And Evgeny Levchenko was one of them for us, and like he scored a goal in the Champions League qualification or something like that. But one goal is not gonna.
It was in a doesn't playoff game as well to qualify for the Asian Champions League, so it was fairly tin pot and
extremely tin pot to the point where we were wearing our A-League kits.
Yeah. And I remember actually, in his first couple of months, he did a 5AA interview. And the interview was all about how he was single and why he hasn't got a partner and all that. And I remember just thinking, get a grip, what is this? What is this? He's come in as an important foreign signing for Rinnie Coolin. Rinnie Coolin made a big deal about how he was bringing a wealth of experience, and he was, very much going to set us on our way to really taking off in the Coolin era. He had played 8 games somehow for the Ukrainian national team, and I don't know how that came about. But anyway, Evgeny Levchenko takes out the cake.
Rightfully.
Number 1 as our greatest ever foreign flop at Adelaide United. Always fun going through some banter players from the past eras, mate. Good to get you in the studio again.
Yeah, love it.
We're going to bring plenty more topical content to viewers, so we've done 2 of these now. The Craziest Moments video, which you can still see on Facebook and YouTube if you haven't checked that out, got a lot of views and a lot of people showing their appreciation for us bringing the past back to the fans, and we're going to keep doing it. So we've enjoyed bringing you this second one, Adelaide United's greatest ever foreign flops. Chris, great to get you in, mate.
Cheers.
And we'll see you soon. Up the Reds.
Let's go, boys.
Like and share the page, guys, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Cheers.